next topic is the causes of World War II. When we look at the causes of World War II, it is usually said that the roots of World War II were there in the World War I, because after the World War I, the treaties that were signed were one-sided and based on the demands of the victors, and the demands of the defeated countries were not taken into consideration. So as a result of the treaties of after World War I, there was bad blood in the countries like Germany and Italy and Austria and Hungary and several others that paved the way for the World War II. So then there were other reasons like expansionism of Germany, Italy and Japan, the failure of the League of Nations, that it was unable to stop the countries from waging wars against other countries, and then appeasement, Great Depression, and so on and so forth. And then we would be looking at the immediate causes. We will be dividing the causes into long-term causes and the immediate causes. So first of all, looking at the long-term causes of World War II. The very first cause of World War II was World War I and the treaties that were signed after World War I. The first and foremost treaty is the Treaty of Versailles, that considered Germany to be responsible for starting the war guilt, and according to the Article 231 of Treaty of Versailles, Germany was supposed to accept the war guilt, and this war guilt led to the rise of Hitler in Germany, and he wrote in his book Mein Kampf that when the strong leaders would emerge and they will come to power, they will take the revenge of the Treaty of Versailles, and we will take revenge from France and other countries that they have signed so cruel treaties and they have considered Germany to be responsible for starting the war. And when we look at Italy, Italy was promised that it would be given several places if it joins the Allied powers in World War I, but when the Allied powers won the war, they did not fulfill their promises, and Italy was not given the due share it was promised in the Treaty of London. So Italy also went against that, and it was believed in Italy that we have won the war, but that victory is mutilated victory. So Italy also used this treaty, and they disliked that treaty that led to the World War II. In the same way, when we look at Austria and Hungary, Austria's areas were taken, its industrial areas were taken, its population was lost, and in the same way, Hungary's population and areas and industrial areas were taken, and they were supposed to accept the war guilt. So the treaties of World War I paved the way for the World War II. Second is the expansionism. Expansionism means when one country attacks another country and it increases its territories by conquering the territories of other countries. So when we look at Germany, it was expanding its territories. First of all, it took Sudetenland, then it took Czechoslovakia, and then it wanted to take all the Europe, and Hitler wrote in his book Mein Kampf that we will go to east for the living space that was known as Lebensraum, and we will conquer the east or Ukraine and Russia, and we will be having enough food. Then we look at the expansionist policy of Italy, that it attacked Abyssinia and it wanted to make Abyssinia the part of Italy. So it also led to the World War II. And when we look at Japan, Japan also attacked China, took Manchuria and renamed it as Manchukuo, and it also led to the World War II. So these were the expansionist policies of Germany, Italy, and Japan. Third was the failure of League of Nations. League of Nations was created to stop the war and maintain peace in Europe and the world, but it failed because, first of all, the main architect of League of Nations did not join it, and when Woodrow Wilson presented it before the Congress disagreed, and it said that USA will not become the part of the League of the Nations. And then we see that League of Nations was not able to take strict action against the aggressors, and it had no collective security. Although when League of Nations came into being, it focused on the concept of collective security, that when a country will start a war, the other countries and the member countries, they will provide their forces and they will fight against the aggressor. But we find that the collective security was not provided, and League of Nations had no mechanism. And even the strong members of League of Nations had their own vested interests. For example, when we look at Hitler, when he was rearming and he was increasing the number of troops, he was militarizing the Rhineland. At that time, Britain wanted a weak France, so they did not act against it. So we also find that Britain, France, and Italy did not act, although they met in Stresa and they agreed in Stresa front that they will be acting against Germany if it rearms and if it increases its soldiers and ships and submarines, but it also failed. Then we look at Great Depression. That Great Depression was an important element that led to the World War II, because through Great Depression there was unemployment, there was food shortage, there were inflations, there were famines, and there were many problems in the countries of Europe. So the authoritarianism flourished in Europe, and as a result of the authoritarianism, you will find that they led to expansionism, and expansionism led to the war. Then when we look at the short-term causes of World War II, the very first one is appeasement, that instead of stopping Hitler, he was appeased, and Neville Chamberlain provided one concession after the other to Hitler, and it led to the World War II. The second short-term cause was Sudetenland, that when Hitler sent his army into the Sudetenland and it became the part of Germany, it was another short-term cause. Third was the invasion of Czechoslovakia in March 1939, and no action was taken against Hitler. Fourth was Nazi-Soviet pact, and in this pact, Stalin and Hitler agreed that when Germany would attack Poland, Soviet Union would not resist, and when Poland would be conquered, it would be divided between Germany and USSR. So this was another thing, and the last one was the invasion of Poland. When Hitler invaded Poland on 1st September 1939, and Neville Chamberlain had given guarantee to Poland that if Hitler attacks Poland, Britain would come to its help. And now, after 2 days, on 3rd September, Britain declares war on Germany and the World War starts. So these were the short-term and long-term causes of World War II.